Hi guys and welcome back on my channel. So today we react from upper election, what's called upper echelon. I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't know. Yeah. So we react from him on on his review of Dragon Age Veilguard, or Veil Garbage in this case. And yeah, I heard nothing good about this game too, and yeah. I think you know a little bit about my opinion if you follow my channel. And yeah, here we go.
Alright, I'm a little bit late here considering the launch of the game, the controversy, and the outpouring of opinions over the past weekend or so, but having finally sat down and played a substantial portion of Dragon Age Veilguard, I thought it was time to weigh in, give my thoughts, my opinions, and explain why this is very much not a good game, for an abundance of reasons well and truly beyond the political discourse, and I am quite frankly baffled completely by the level of praise that I've been seeing when the impressions I have personally are overwhelmingly negative. First things first, because I think it's important to clarify this right off the bat here. The game isn't bad because it's woke. That's a Trojan horse line.
This mostly this is top of the iceberg. Just it's given the game is such raw garbage in there. Mostly it's for example, right to have retribution. That was a bad game too, but it was definitely not a world game. This was made in a PS3 era, but shit happens. I take this for example here, and yeah, European in the world thing is only the top of the iceberg. The big problem, the big issue is technically that games have not souls anymore in there. They are only products, only content. They produce to make money, and for that, it's nothing wrong to make money with games, but the game must have a soul, like, I don't know, the GTA franchise, or the original Mass Effect trilogy.
Criticism, in my view. You can do it, but it kind of torpedoes the efficacy of much more important issues, of which there are many. It's not bad because of a certain quest line that makes you trans. It's not bad because of the cringe dialogue section about how your companion is non-binary. It's not bad because they decided to put pronouns in the character creator or have top scars and vitiligo as creation options.
Yeah, this is all only the top of the iceberg, nothing more.
It's bad because it's actually bad design, and it's a complete betrayal of the Dragon Age franchise for anyone who used to be fans of the world building, atmosphere, and raw gameplay. However, just to put all of my cards on the table before really kicking it off, all of those things are extremely obnoxious.
And before you ask, I have the highest quality here and there. I don't know, maybe German fucking internet is a pain in the ass in Germany. Yeah, but we must now live with that.
Feels like this game was made by and for Twitter activists, unironically. And while that seems to be a very heavily focused on aspect for the game's most vocal critics, what I care about is raw gameplay. It's a video game, not a movie or a book.
Yeah. And this is our it's the important thing to criticize the game for the gameplay. The political bullshit around this is an extra thing for that, but if have a game a bad gameplay, it must be criticized. And I don't give a fuck if this game rogue or not, or whatsoever. If have a game a bad graphic, it must be criticized.
The primary determining factor behind what is or is not a good video game, at least to me, in my view, is how fun it is to play, not how annoyed I get with the perceived politics. With that said, I'll break everything down into three categories.
I would say this is based. It's based to say how much the game, how much fun makes the game for me, and not how much annoying is the politics around. And here, the politics can make a bad impression on this too. I don't agree with that, I don't argue against that, but if one thing bad and one thing good, humans look more on the bad thing because on the bad side because we are all humans. We are all humans, so yeah.
Story, which includes dialogue, quests, narrative, etc. Combat, which is pretty self-explanatory, and general design, which is things like layout, visuals, loot drops, etc. Between those three categories, I think it'll become clear why I think the game is subpar. And one final side note before I get going, I have not finished the game's main storyline yet. I do not plan to continue playing.
And I don't, by the way, I don't have any, not the idea to buy this game.
I think that calling this a full-on review is probably unfair as a result of that. So this is my impressions of Veilguard and a descriptive explanation of why I think the game is not worth my time to play. Here goes. Let's start with...
But to say it's impression is not a review. Means this, means guys, this is how, this is him, this is his unsubjective opinion, so if you don't agree with him, it's so, because it is his opinion and he can live his opinion.
Veilguard has a pretty rudimentary storyline where you have to defeat 2 elven gods, which I have not done, but right from the start it pivots away from the expected main villain, that villain being Solus, who's trying to take down the Veil, after you pretty much defeat him immediately and move on to assembling a party and doing various missions. This is where my experience rapidly began falling apart because after the first 20 to 40 minutes of the game, you start actually experiencing what it has to offer, and what the game has to offer is garbage. During my very first
yeah, but the thing is, it's sad, and if have a game such this raw garbage content part in there. Example, Dustborn, 前奏这些 maybe the most people have forgot this game already for good reasons, and yeah. If you say the game is slow, it's not means it have bad gameplay, but it means the possibility that the game have bad gameplay is much higher than the game have now natural themes in there.
I caught myself laughing, not because of genuine humor, but because of the absurdity, when one of my party members yelled out, "It's quiet, too quiet." Sure, you can argue that it's a fun little cliche line, but something felt really off about the delivery of that line, and I couldn't help but feel in the back of my mind that this kind of surface-level depth was about to become extremely common. Spoiler alert, I was right. It does. A few minutes later, one of my companions says to the other one, "Wait, so you're really Nev Gallus?" Continuing on with some flattery-driven exposition dump. But these two companions had already met each other a long time ago. We were traveling together for a decent amount of time, and the fact that one character, who very obviously already knows that the other character is Nev Gallus, was saying this random line at some random time, it made absolutely no sense, once again making me laugh for all the wrong reasons. After that, I heard a party member say, quote, "This blight is weird," and I pretty much lost it again until an even...
If you take talentless writers on a script, this garbage hands out.
Better moment where I ran up against a massively overleveled boss enemy, died immediately in seconds because I didn't even have my hands on the keyboard at the time and I was typing a message on my phone, and I was faced with a companion saying some variation of, "Wow, we were so close that time." No, we weren't. How hard would it have been to code in some sort of if-then criteria trigger where your party members only talk about how close the fight was when you actually get close to killing the boss monster, or deal any damage to it whatsoever? Let's say 20% of its health bar left. And genuinely, sincerely, it all goes downhill from there. Eventually, I met the game's biggest joke of a character, the one who also just so happens to be the very vocally non-binary one, and ran up against a new type of enemy. Enemies are bland and extremely annoying because of how long they take to kill on higher difficulties, but I'll get to that part later on in the combat section. Yeah, encountering this new enemy type led to a sort of 1-2 punch type dialogue exchange, where this non-binary party member says, "Be ready for those new enemies. They go hard," which is modern day slang. It feels completely disjointed coming from a kunari, and once again made me feel
Right. This is, by the way, annoying too. If you have a fantasy game and you use this modern garbage language only to appeal for, I don't know for whom this should appeal. I don't know. But they make it because they are
the game was a
talentless.
joke. Right after that, okay, like it would have been okay perhaps if I had a little bit more time in between to like cleanse my metaphorical palate. Right after that, okay, she says, whatever, they say, "Eat shit, this isn't your land," in such an unexpectedly cringe way.
Oh, but eat shit, this is not your land. Oh my fucking goodness. This is the cringe factor
I felt
1000.
like a Twitter activist had literally hacked my game and started speaking into my headphones. That's the whole colonizers are evil trope, which is fine, whatever.
Oh.
But they go hard and eat shit? Yeah, this doesn't feel like a Dragon Age game. It feels like a Tumblr fan fiction writer got full control of a AAA narrative and just couldn't stop themselves from screwing it up with contemporary bullshit. It didn't take long for me to just stop caring totally about what party members were saying because the things that they say are idiotic. They sound like morons, they disrupt your experience with their random shouting, and the things that they say aren't funny or immersive. They're obnoxious. I saw
Then this is the problem. Dialogue make a huge part of the immersion of a fictional medium, and it takes this fictional the fictional part of this medium. So the dialogue can be annoying, and the worst part is I lost the thread. And the worst part is, you can take the game
stopped writing them
serious.
down at this point because I realized that dialogue choices don't matter. Party members don't have independent perspectives and emotions. It's a mile wide and an inch deep, with an overabundance of things that make you physically cringe. As for quest design, it's about as linear as you can get, with a spattering of quests where some of them feel mildly interesting, maybe, and others feel pointless. I wasn't excited to pick up a new one, and I wasn't excited when they got finished because it didn't feel like I had actually achieved anything. They're all virtually the same anyway. I wasn't shaping the world or discovering new things. I was advancing through a monotonous chain of actions that I didn't care about with people that annoyed me. And sure, you can say, well, that's a personal problem. I loved it. But I find it very hard to believe that anyone out there praising this game actually thinks that the depth of dialogue and character immersion is even remotely comparable to previous Dragon Age games, because it's not.
I've played Dragon Age Inquisition, and yeah, this have definitely better dialogue. Definitely. So they use their words like shit and this crap too, but in another more fluid way, in a more immersive way than they did it here.
It's frankly insulting to anyone who enjoyed the franchise before this, and it's a completely new direction that is being praised by some writers as fantastic, despite looking and feeling like juvenile trash. Suffice it to say, I think the narrative, writing, dialogue, and even voice acting / character modeling in this game is very subpar. There were these really funny but depressing moments where certain characters would make demented looking facial expressions, like the corners of their mouth are all lurching around. It's terrible. Or they'd prance around jogging in a super unnatural way as you follow them. But the point of this entire section is to say that when playing Dragon Age Veilguard,
What the heck is this?
I was annoyed by what I experienced, not immersed. But wait, because that's only the beginning. And if we're talking about problems, which we are, combat is a veritable cornucopia of poor decision making. Briefly summarizing before I get to specific details here, the combat has adopted a sort of Mass Effect Andromeda system of comboed abilities. Except Mass Effect Andromeda does it far better. During combat,
I played currently on a PS5, and yeah, the Andromeda is in case very convenient. So yeah, and yeah,
You have 3 of your own abilities and then 2 companions who each get 3 more. It is extremely rudimentary and basically involves spam dodging all over the place using abilities off cooldown to whittle away at the enemy's health bars. Just to be perfectly plain, it is very much not a difficult game. It just takes forever to kill anything, on the harder difficulties at least, which is what I played on. You spend a disproportionate amount of time dodging around until you can actually deal some damage, and the frantic pacing is a very poor way to mask how shallow the combat really is, especially when you combine it with a skill tree that is completely uninteresting. The skill tree nodes feel empty, half of them do things that you really don't care about, nor would you ever care about if attempting to make any sort of specialized build. For instance, a high damage DPS glass cannon. You just can't really do those types of things. And the overall depth, yet again, feels like a puddle. Big surface area, no depth. Incremental upgrades are like frosting on a cake in my view. If the cake itself tastes good, that is, if the combat is fun to play, the frosting and the sprinkles are appreciated. But when the cake is just uncooked batter with no flavor, covering it with 5 types of different colored frosting, in this case the runes for your dagger and the level ups for your gear with enchantments and skill tree nodes, covering it with an overabundance of frosting does nothing to fix the underlying problem, which is boring one-dimensional combat.
Yeah, but this is this is something it's important to criticize, in my opinion, to make it in the next better. So if the fans of the game say, of the franchise say, that that the combat is annoying and lazy and it's not interesting, you can make it next time better, but the developers who release this game aren't interested in good gameplay. They are always interested to push their politics, and yeah, I try to keep out the politics this time here much as possible, but yeah, good gameplay. For good gameplay, you need good game developers.
Look at this. Okay, look at this right here. This is the preview.
What's the English word for this? Not the developers, the game creators.
One-dimensional combat.
You know what I mean.
Look at this. Okay, look at this right here. This is the previous Dragon Age format. Clips from Inquisition and even Origins as well. This kind of macro decision-making, combined with the capability of crafting your own tactical rule sets for different party members, allows you to feel a level of battlefield control that is very much appreciated and fun. Characters do different things. They feel like they have unique value. Dragon Age Veilguard has basically none of that. Instead favoring a very boring, sad, frantic yet predictable combat framework that legitimately feels closer to a mobile game than a real Dragon Age product. Try this on for size.
And we all know mobile games are not
Healing
the best
has
games.
been condensed down to a very simple 3-potion system. You either get healed by a party member with an ability, use an ability of your own, or use one of your 3 potions. But the way that you get potion refills is by shooting green urns, bright green urns, scattered across the whole map. You don't craft them, you don't get them as drops, you run around the world where there's just hundreds of bright green urns, and whenever you want more potions, you go shoot one, because there's probably one 15 feet away from you. It's like a mobile game. I have a genuine question here for anyone who likes this.
I mean, the game is made for idiots. They are intelligent in games, and my goodness, to make a game so easy that everyone can have fun in the game, it's not like fun for anyone. Why, if for no reason, is doing such a popular game? Are the Souls-like genres because the Souls-like genre because you must have abilities, you must have skill in these games. And if you don't have it, yeah, screw you, you're fine in this game. And this is fact.
Wants to give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Was there no better way to do this? There was nothing they could have done that was more creative than just bright green urns all over the place that drop a single potion when shot. I find it impossible to believe that this, after the depth of systems we had in previous Dragon Age products, is actually a good thing. Because it isn't a good thing. It's lazy and it's boring. Here's another comparison. The ballista in this game is an arcadey joke. You have a couple very early moments of using it, and I couldn't help but think every single time I used it. Think back to like Dragon's Dogma 2, where using a ballista felt like a battle-changing weapon, man. It felt impactful. It was a huge, powerful device where cranking off a shot actually meant something, had like really visceral feedback. But Dragon Age...
On the first Dragon's Dogma, it's the same, the ballista is the game changer there.
Opted for a gimmicky, cheap-feeling mechanic that just spams out shots and makes me think of a phone game that you play on the toilet or in the doctor's office.
This is the place who decides this game to the toilet.
For the appointment. Nothing about this combat makes me feel invested, and everything about it makes me wish I was playing any other one of about 15 similar products that just do every single aspect of it better. Now for the final nail in the coffin, which is general design. See, Dragon Age Veilguard isn't just predictable with its combat, it's predictable with its level design. Why they chose this, I'll probably never understand, but most of the doors that you encounter during the extremely linear levels that you play are blocked by something. At first, it's fine. Okay, you shoot the debris, walk through the door, cool.
Yes, sometimes it's cool, but if it every time, no, please not.
But after a while, you notice the repetition. Shoot the debris, go through. Shoot the wall, it breaks, go through. And then shoot the blight pod, it blows up, walk through the hole. Eventually, though, they decided, why just make you shoot the door once to get through it? Why not add more steps? After which you start having to shoot the surrounding blight pods that are connected back to the main one, and then you can shoot the main one to go through the door. Or how about a reskin? Now you shoot the red crystal and go through the door. Now you shoot the crystals in a chain and go through the door. And on and on and on. It's so stupid. Why do you need to have so many doors blocked by such rudimentary puzzle mechanics? Why do you need to spend our time shooting these stupid little gimmicks one after another, just to walk through a door to a new area again and again, where you'll once again fight 6 of the same enemies who have way too much health and require 0 tactical effort? Why punctuate the already boring combat design with boring level design? And why in the world are people praising this game? Check this out. There is a jump button, default coded to F in my case for some reason, but you can play like 99% of the game without ever jumping, despite the fact that they have
So, why do you take this mechanic in the game if you don't need it?
Puzzles. You'll do a thing and your party member will like spawn a mystical...
For some jump puzzles. For true jump puzzles, you have a not necessary game mechanic in the game. This is fucking stupid.
So you can get to the other side of the ravine, but you can just run straight at the damn thing off the edge roughly 100% of the time, and then climb up the other side. Why put in jump puzzles when the edges are so close together, you can just accidentally fall off yet still climb up like nothing happened? It's like taking a test that's multiple choice, but they made all 4 answers the same thing. Yeah, it's multiple choice and you have to fill one in, but it straight up doesn't matter which one because they're all the same. You essentially can't fail, so why take the test?
Well, this game is really made for idiots. I mean, not idiots like me with cynically, really retarded idiots who have played first time a game. Or I don't mean the Dragon Age, or I don't know, GTA, or Mass Effect, or I don't know, Saints Row. No, this game is made for guys who played literally the first time a game in their entire life. And
why have the jump puzzle when, like, I just don't understand. Connecting back to the combat, loot is just super underwhelming, but the design aspect of it is that you never have to go more than like 10 steps off the beaten path to find all of it. It's always right around the corner, or barely hidden behind a bush, or even puzzles like rotating statues. But you can just run around randomly pressing the levers for a few seconds, and ta da,
Mhm.
you solved the puzzle. Here's your reward, more loot that doesn't matter.
Mhm.
The days of finding a special area way off the beaten trail and fighting a difficult enemy that you have to like min max your kit to even attempt the battle, and then finding gear that actually matters after you win, gear which genuinely makes you stronger, are gone in this franchise because the stuff you find is mostly useless. You find it with zero effort, and it's located immediately to your left.
Goodness, you get spammed with loot, but loot is useless. And then you have full baggage with stuff that you never need. I hate this mechanics.
Or right or below you or whatever, in a shocking display of let's dumb the content down to the lowest common denominator and ruin a franchise. Why did they break so
Yeah.
far from something that was, despite its many
It's how I say, it's make for the dumbest consumer as you can imagine.
flaws, so appreciated and fun? Why would they redefine the franchise into this really juvenile display of arcadey on-rails storytelling when the previous Dragon Age games were the antithesis of that? What was the purpose of going down the contemporary social politics route and making sure that they stuck modern day social media discourse and slang as well into a long-standing franchise that comparably none of that existed in previous entries? And why on earth is this game being praised by so many media figures when it's objectively bad for the majority of one's playtime? BioWare has produced games that have humor before, obviously, don't get me wrong, but there's something different and something so obviously forced with this game, to a point where a character is yelling, no joke, "Eat shit, this isn't your land," right after "they go hard." And someone wrote that, then approved it, then voice acted it, and not one person with decision making power in the entire corporate chain stepped back.
Boss, it's make for some idiots who this game is only made for idiots who think this could be funny because this is modern. And this game has technically no base anymore. No base to buy, no buyer base anymore. So if you sell the game, you must have what's the English word for this? I hate my brain sometimes. What's the fucking word? It means, my fucking goodness. What the main audience? You have a main audience for this game, but the maker of this game don't want the main audience. They want their own audience. They don't interested in this game, so you have this shit because they think those think everyone, but no, they're in their small bubble, and it's only get worse.
Wait, this is stupid. Maybe we shouldn't make a game like this. I understand the argument that the game removes some of the more menial tasks that Inquisition perhaps kind of suffered from. I understand that having on-rails linear storytelling is not intrinsically worse than an open-world experience, especially if that open-world experience is sparsely populated and boring. But Dragon Age Veilguard is such a dull, uninteresting experience. I'm not even going to finish it. And believe me, the Dragon Age franchise overall is something that holds a very dear place in my heart, so when I say this, I'm not grinning or happy. I'm saying something that I'm sad about. The fact that this game has practically nothing that I used to enjoy is actually.
And we see our all the time you're in the gameplay in the background here. He just every time the same. Only from looking, I got bored by this.
New direction that, in my opinion, makes no sense. Bottom line here, I have enjoyed basically nothing about this game, to an extent where it's not even worth finishing. You can criticize it for the woke aspects, sure, but to me it's just lost. It's an attempt at forging a new path for the Dragon Age franchise that alienates people like me, prior fans, while also reducing what was previously a complex storytelling narrative and combat experience down to a pale shadow of its former self. It feels like it shouldn't even be in the same category. Some people like it, which is fine, I guess, but in my opinion, this is a
You can, I agree with him. You can like this game, but you must can accept the criticism from people who don't like this
4 out
game.
of 10
So
at best, and really seems to have missed the mark in every single fundamental category. There's actually no better way to describe it. This is a game for the lowest of the low common denominator. I do not recommend this game. I will not be finishing it, and I hope that BioWare goes back to some semblance of what used to make their games good.
yeah, like for example, good Mass
Hopefully.
Effect again.
Because despite the level of commercial success that this has achieved, and it is commercially successful, that's just a fact, don't let people tell you it's not, I view it to be a disappointing display of reductive storytelling / combat design that is completely unenjoyable and bland. I was not challenged, I was not engaged, and I was thoroughly unimpressed. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. Locals and Patreon for monthly memberships, a special VPN deal for the entire community, that's a good one, a new upper echelon website, which is linked down below as well, with articles that are now being posted, and more. There's a bunch of different things you can check out. I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.
Yep, I would say this too. Oops. And yeah, I agree with him. From the work aspect, I don't get in the work, but I agree with him. And yeah, so yeah, check out this channel. We see you in the next video, and bye.